Eighth graders, this is to help you prepare for the second extended response question on Friday's test. The second question will look pretty much exactly like this, just with some different numbers. So let's go ahead and solve this system of equations graphically. I can tell you the first equation is already in the correct form to be graphed. So this is equation number 1, and this is equation number 2. So if we look at equation number 1, y equals negative x plus 4. It's already in the form y equals mx plus b. The m, the number in front of the x, which I'll write a number in a minute, is the slope. And the b, this number we're adding on at the end, is your y-intercept. So first of all, you see this negative sign, but you don't see an actual number in front of the x. You can always assume it's a 1, so you put a little 1 there. So your slope is equal to negative 1. This 4 here is your y-intercept. Your y-intercept equals 4. The coordinates of that y-intercept are 0, 4. It's where we cross the y-axis. That's where you cross the y-axis. Okay, so to graph, step 1 in graphing, we need to plot the y-intercept. That's what you got to do. You got to plot that y-intercept. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I've just plotted the y-intercept. Once you plot the y-intercept, you move using slope. I'm going to tell you what that means in a minute. So your slope is negative 1 for this equation. You can make negative 1 a fraction by putting negative 1 over 1. Your slope is your quote-unquote rise over run, or change in y over change in x. The top number tells you if you move up or down. If it's negative slope, you're moving down 1 unit. So you'll move down 1, and this bottom number tells you to move to the right 1. So that's what our slope says. From that y-intercept, move down 1, right 1. So from your y-intercept, move down 1, right 1, plot a point. Move down 1, right 1, plot a point. This is what the slope of negative 1 means. Move down 1, right 1, plot a point. Down 1, right 1, plot a point. Down 1, right 1, plot a point. If I'm going down and to the right, the opposite of down and to the right is up and to the left. So I could also choose to go up 1, left 1. And you'll see it makes this beautiful straight line. This is a linear equation. Now I don't, because of I'm using my bamboo tablet to do this, I do not have a straight edge. You should pick up a ruler and make a straight edge, because my line is very wonky. And so that's the line y equals negative x plus 4. When we're solving a system graphically, we graph both lines. And so now I have to graph line number 2. So this is graphing line 1. Oops. Graph does not have an E on the end. This is where we'll graph line 1. And now I have to graph line 2. So down here, I know I have another question right here, but I'm going to now graph line 2. Okay. So I take this original equation, x plus y equals negative 4. Here's the issue. The equation has to be in the form y equals mx plus b. I have to have y by itself, and I don't have that yet. So I physically have to move this x to the other side of the equal sign. So this is a 1x. How do I move a 1x to the other side of the equal sign when it's attached to the y with addition? I undo that addition with subtraction. I subtract 1x from the left side of the equal sign, so I have to subtract 1x from the right side of the equal sign. But here's the dealio. So 1x minus 1x, bye-bye. Those zero out. Left-hand side of the equal sign, I have my y equals. But I'm going to put this in a certain format. I'm going to write my x term first and my constant second. So I'm going to write my x term first, minus 1x, and this happens to be minus 4, so I'll put a minus 4. Okay, so I need it in this form. I need it in the form y equals some number times x plus or minus some number. Okay, so now for this equation, I can tell you my slope is -1. It's that number right in front of the x. And I can tell you my y-intercept is -4. If this had been a plus sign in front, it would have been a +4, but because it's a minus sign, my y-intercept is -4, or 0, -4. It's where I cross the y-axis. I'll cross the y-axis at -4. Okay, so when we're going to graph a line, step 1 is to plot the y-intercept. Well, now that we have it in the correct form, we can plot the y-intercept. So 0, -4. There you go. There's my y-intercept for the second equation. My slope for that second equation, so then we'll move using the slope. We move the way the slope tells us to move. So my slope happens to equal -1. We can always make that into a fraction by putting it over 1. You always want to put your slope in fraction form because the top number tells you how to move up or down, and the bottom number tells you how to move left, right. So because this is -1, it says move down 1 unit. This +1 here says move to the right 1 unit. So from our y-intercept, we move down 1, right 1. And if I didn't run out of grid space, I'd move down 1 again, right 1 again. But I'm running out of grid space. So if I move down and to the right, the opposite of down and to the right, so I can continue making a beautiful straight line across the grid, down and to the right, I can move up and to the left, 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 up and to the left. And now I have this beautiful straight line across the grid. Now, mind you, again, I don't have a straight edge in front of me, so my line's going to just look a little bit wonky. Oh, it's ugly. It's ugly, but it's there. Okay, so that's line 2. So line 2 was x plus y equals, sorry, let me go to the last slide. Oh, x plus y equals -4. Okay, so that's that line. Here's the deal. Hopefully you can tell these lines are parallel. The reason these lines are parallel is they have the same slope. These are parallel lines. Do I have 2 R's in parallel? I'm not sure. These are parallel lines. And I know that they're parallel lines because they have the same slope. If you have 2 lines with the same slope, in this case the slope happens to be -1, those lines are guaranteed to be parallel, and when lines are parallel, there will be no solution. Hopefully that helps. Parallel lines have no, name the solution system if there is one. That is no solution. Those are parallel lines. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I know this is a long video, sorry about that. I just want to do one more example where the lines will cross, where you will have a solution. So let's go ahead and graph these. So for this first line, y equals -1/2 x plus 4. It's in the form y equals mx plus b. So I know my slope is -1/2. I know the negatives out in front. I always just attach that to the top number. -1/2. And I know my y-intercept, in this case, is 4. Okay, so my first step is I'm going to plot the y-intercept, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to run through this a little bit quicker than the last one. Then my slope, top number tells me down 1, bottom number tells me to the right 2. Down 1, right 2. So from 0, 4, I move down 1, right 2. 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 If I'm moving down 1 and to the right 2, I could also choose to move up 1, left 2. You need a beautiful straight line across your page. Up 1, left 2. 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 Okay. Now, let's see how I can do connecting these points to the best of my ability. I mean, not super, but it is what it is, my friends. It is what it is. All right. So there we have it. That's the line y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Now I have to graph the other line. So the first thing I have to do to graph my other line, -1/2 x plus y equals -2, I have to go ahead and put it in y equals mx plus b form. In order to do that, you have to move your x term over to the right-hand side of the equal sign. That way, so if to get rid of this -1/2 x that's attached to that y through addition, I'll just add 1/2 x to both sides, and those will zero out. So on the left-hand side, I have y equals, and then on the right-hand side, I want my x term written first. So I write my positive 1/2 x first. Then you see how this is a -2? So I just put -2 there. Had this been a positive, I would have put a +2. All right, so now I'll plot my y-intercept. My y-intercept in this case is a -2. So on the y-axis, I'll start down here at -2. And then my slope is now a positive 1/2. Slope of positive 1/2 says move up 1, move to the right 2. So from your y-intercept, move up 1, move right 2. Move up 1, move to the right 2. Move up 1, move to the right 2. Ooh, they're going to cross right there. Move up 1, move to the right 2. Move up 1, move to the right 2. Move up 1, move to the right 2. And then I can go the other way. Move down 1, move to the left 2. Okay, whatevs. Move down 1, move to the left 2. At this point, I see where they cross, and I'm like, all right, I don't have to stress about making this line any longer, because where those two lines cross is the solution to this equation. Or I'm sorry, to this system of equations. That right there, that beautiful spot right there is the solution. Where the two lines cross, if they cross, that's the solution. So this was the line -1/2 x plus y equals -2. So my solution is 6, 1. 6, 1 is my solution. So I just wanted to show you the last one, the lines were parallel. There was no solution. This one, the lines actually cross. Where they cross, their intersection point is the solution. I know this was a long one. I hope that helped.